Lucy lives in Manly, and yes, Hung lives between Hanoi and Hoi An.
Yes.
Nice.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, nice to meet you. Yeah.
Nice to
And
meet
Hung,
you too, Hung.
Hung swims whenever she can.
Yes,
Wow.
I like swimming.
Beautiful. Mm.
And Alberto is in Italy, Lucy. Lucy lives in Manly, near where I live.
Hello.
Hi,
Nice to
Lucy.
meet you. Hello, Alberto.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, Ajahn, are you here now?
Yes, I'm here. สวัสดีค่ะ everyone.
So, Ajahn. Yes.
Hello,
Hi,
Ajahn.
Kapasan.
Does anyone have a topic they would like to start with?
I have one that we could start with. It's with regard to the perfections. The perfections develop with panya, and the perfections develop together. If there's no panya, the kusala factor cannot become a perfection.
And could you just give a quick translation when you use the Pali terms for Lucy's benefit? Just
oh dear.
Or just panya is right understanding.
Oh
just
yes, okay,
ones.
yes, that's right. Okay, Lucy, the perfections develop together with right understanding. If there's no right understanding, the quality, which can be a perfection, for instance, generosity or sila, morality, will not reach the level of a perfection. Perfections are, highly developed qualities and arise with right understanding, with understanding. And I'm just wondering, at what level of right understanding does a perfection reach the level of perfection, of a perfection? I recognize that the development of the kusala quality, for instance, generosity, there needs to be an accumulation of generosity developed over many lives, and that accumulation can lead to that quality. That accumulation can lead the quality to being a perfection when it develops together with panya. So the level of panya necessary, I would think, is certainly the direct understanding of realities, of that quality. But at what point can it be thought about as a perfection? At the level of intellectual understanding from listening and considering, or is that prior to it being a perfection?
Well, I would say they develop the different perfections, the different paramis. They develop as the right understanding develops from the right considering about the truth, on, but only when it's the direct understanding do they become firmly established. But let's see what Ajahn has to say on this topic.
Is now wholesomeness perfect?
No.
And at moment of akusala, they can be understanding at all. That's why what is meant by perfection is that akusala is so much, and if there's no understanding, no hearing about the truth of what is there now at all, no condition to be perfect of understanding and purity and wholesomeness. That's why understanding what is that which is perfect. No understanding, or just a little understanding, or no wholesome moment at all, or more wholesome moments. Because the perfection is to realize the truth right now as it is. That's why without learning or understanding what is there, which is quite different from before, is understanding of what is there little by little, from hearing and considering and understanding that it's the best in life or in the samsara, the circle of birth and death. Understanding only can condition any more and more wholesome moment, purify the citta from akusala, ignorance. That's why the point is understanding the truth. And how can be the understanding of the truth? Because the truth is right now. Without hearing what is there and understanding how much considering of the truth to see that it's useless at all because this moment is quite short. It's gone instantly, unknown. If we haven't heard about this, how can we let go the idea of something or someone all the time, from moment to moment, condition such thinking by hearing and seeing, thinking. That's why I understand the truth that now it's the world of ignorance. Who knows why there is birth? And after birth, there must be seeing, hearing, smelling, condition, different situation, different events, and then gone, never to arise again. But the moment of memory, thinking about it, it seems like it's there all the time from birth, when I was young and so on, at school and so on and on. But in truth, nothing can arise again. Once it's conditioned to arise, it's gone, never to arise again. But there are conditions again and again right now to condition moment from moment to moment to moment all the time. And nothing can be left at all because it's gone completely, absolutely, never to arise again. Is it true? That's why it's not just belief, but what is there can be known. Is that right? Because now there is seeing. Is there any understanding of seeing? How can there be the understanding of the truth of seeing? It needs conditions and support without any moment of kusala. Akusala is the hindered understanding instant. That's why understanding the point of perfection, just to realize the truth, to enlighten the absolute truth right now as it is, as we heard, and as we have considered it is so true. Before hearing, there's no hearing. Before seeing, there's no seeing. And as soon as seeing is there, hearing is there. It seems that they are together. But in truth, seeing cannot see and hearing cannot see at all. Seeing cannot hear and hearing cannot see. Just a moment, arising, falling away, never to return. The truth is there to be known, to realize. That's why the one who understands the benefit or the precious moment of understanding the truth continue on. Viriya is there, Santi is there. Only understanding just the word now about it is not enough, because the truth can be discerned, can be realized. That's why with our parami, Viriya, hear it again, consider it again, more careful, little by little, understanding better and deeper, little by little. There cannot be the understanding of how that which appears cannot be known as it is, because no words about it, no considering at all about the truth of what is there now, right now. See, what is it which sees now, and what is it which appears now? That's why understanding the truth and see the precious moment of understanding little by little, continue on with Priya and patience, kanti, and effort, even so very deep and very difficult to understand. But it's there again and again and again, ready for anyone to consider it little by little. And those moments are parami. And we have to understand that we talk about dana, but in truth, it is moment of understanding how much clinging to the sensuous object, never enough at all. So when there is moment of seeing that it's not anyone, it does not belong to anyone at all. It's the object of seeing and then gone, thinking and gone, see? Understanding a little more, developing little by little, is parami to understand the perfection or without all kinds of kusala, with understanding as the base, because it doesn't mean that any time at moment of seeing or giving or helping or sharing, it's kusala or no one, because it has to develop understanding to understand that it's not understanding the meaning of the word, but the word convey the characteristic, the truth of that which is there, which can be known. So parami is not just the word, it's moment of kusala based on understanding, the point of listening, the goal of listening, the end of listening, to realize the truth until all unwholesome realities cannot arise again, and even kusala, the wholesomeness moment, which is the condition for whatever to arise as its result, is gone, never to arise again, until it keeps on by condition until death, the end of life in samsara. So now inspire me at moment of listening, considering, understanding the truth of what is there now as it is. How enormous ignorance and akusala, unwholesomeness, stinginess, ego, anger, whatever condition accumulated to arise again can never arise again at all. When right understanding is there enough, stage by stage, up to moment of becoming arahata, the one who has no kilesa or unwholesomeness at all. And even wholesomeness cannot condition the result, because no attachment and no ignorance to think that it's good sometime or somewhere or somehow. So even we don't talk about it, but any moment of understanding, a moment of whatever in life changes from before, more kusala, even just very little in life in a day, but it's conditioned by understanding. But at that moment, it's not need to think about it, but it's conditioned by understanding.
That's very helpful, Ajahn. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So whatever Buddha taught is not just the word, but it's the truth of reality, which is so different from moment to moment by conditions. So without this moment of understanding, no other or parami develop.
And this moment of understanding can be as even at the level of listening and considering.
It's there as soon as it's heard. It's there on and on, kept in the mind, accumulated.
Mhm.
But without condition, it doesn't show up or arise, but it's there as the base foundation for what is there on in the future.
So that we can say that the paramis are built on Panya as the base for them. It's the foundation for them.
And the point of parami, to understand the truth, to
Yes,
realize the truth.
yes.
Mm.
Necessary.
And understand more about all dhammas as anatta,
Mm.
only by conditions.
Mm.
Without this moment of understanding, how can it grow? Condition different realities from before in life to arise differently. Gradually, little by little, the confidence of the truth never changed, never follow the wrong path or wrong word about the truth.
In daily life, we talk about these qualities such as generosity and kindness and patience and so on as good or wholesome qualities to be developed, but without the understanding of the truth, understanding of these qualities as just passing dhammas, not not belonging to you or me or anyone, then they cannot be developed as perfections, as paramis at all, because there will always be the idea of my kindness or goodness or the other's kindness or goodness.
Developing, yeah.
So there cannot be any letting go of the idea of self belonging to me unless there is the development of understanding. So without understanding, we cannot, however great the patience or the effort or the kindness, without understanding, it cannot be part of the path that leads to the eradication of defilements.
Yes, and that's the point, isn't it?
That's the point. The development of understanding, the development of the path leading to the eradication of unwholesomeness. And it has to begin with the letting go of the clinging to the idea of self.
Yeah. Good, thanks, Sarah. That helps too.
I think it ties in with a bit of a discussion we had last week. I forget if you were here, or I know Lucy wasn't, but we talked about the more understanding. We could say the more understanding person one is, but the more understanding there is of life, the more understanding there is of others too.
Yes.
We read and see and hear about different good and bad in the world. But when there is the understanding now that any moments of kindness or any moments of meanness are just passing realities arising by conditions and habits not belonging to me, then one understands it's like that for others too. The good and the bad are just different qualities arising by conditions, not by anyone's will or intention or wish to have them. So there can be more acceptance, more consideration, more kindness, because one appreciates that whatever arises for anyone is just by habits and accumulations.
Thank you again.
And we often discuss, Lucy, about the priorities in life and what is most useful. We may think of all kinds of projects that we're used to thinking as being most useful, but the real harm in life is one's own ignorance and clinging and wrong understanding. What is actually most precious in life is this development of understanding and other wholesome qualities anytime, any day, no matter whether swimming, no matter whether helping at a charity, no matter whether doing one's yoga, cooking lunch, anytime. It doesn't take time, but the understanding at the present moment is what is most precious. But I think it takes time to really appreciate the point.
I think that's right, Sarah. It takes time to appreciate, although it doesn't take time for the arising of the understanding because it happens naturally in daily life. One is not putting aside any time to do this. There's nothing to do.
We learn more about what the world is. We think of the world in Israel or Ukraine or here or there and the different problems, but actually we learn the world is right now, here and now. This moment of thinking is the world. The seeing now is the world. The hearing is the world. So the world is very, very close, just at this very moment. So the Buddha taught that one can travel all around the world trying to understand the truth, but actually the world to be understood is here and now. What is seen now, what is heard now, pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling. This is the world, just different realities now arising and falling away. So this is why we discuss a lot about what is the reality at this moment, as opposed to what is the idea of a situation or a place or people as we're used to thinking, getting more used to understanding the world here and now.
Excuse me, Sarah. Could you please explain a little bit about how that fits into the dream that Jonathan was talking about 2 weeks ago? We were talking about the dreamlike state. Is that it's like that forgetting,
Right.
you know,
So
like
so most of the time we live in a dreamlike state, thinking about one's project or the lunch that has to be prepared or this situation or that situation or what we've heard on the news, and forget that actually this is just thinking about different ideas, different dreams, different imaginations. And the truth is the thinking now that follows the seeing or the hearing, the pleasant feeling or the unpleasant feeling. So we learn to understand the difference between what is real at this moment versus what is the dream world. We know when we wake up in the morning that the dreams were just imagined, not real and all gone. But even now in daily life, there is thinking about one dream after another, but in between there are the sensed or experiences, the moments of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. So they are real, and the objects they experience are real. the thinking is real, but what is thought about. And on the screen, Intl.Dhamma's name and so on, these are just the ideas that are thought about, which we're used to taking for real. A person there that we're speaking to, we're used to the idea of a person existing, but actually what is seen at this moment, is it a person or is it just what is visible, the color? What is heard now, is it Sarah's voice or Sarah, or is it just sound? So the sound is real, but the thinking about this person who is speaking and the quality of their voice, these are the ideas, the dreams that are thought about because of having the experiences of seeing and hearing of different objects. So gradually we just learn a little more about the truth in order to understand the distinction between it and the dream world that we're used to taking for real. There will still be thinking about people and places and sunrises and beaches, and we talk and lead our lives as normal, but a little bit more understanding of what the truth is, what is actually to be known at this moment. Does that help, Lucy?
Oh, yes, very much. Thank you.
Yeah, Lucy, Jonathan made I think a perceptive comment last week, in relationship to your dream-like state. I think it's useful to clarify that when we are dreaming, literally like when asleep, there are no sense store experiences. It's just the fantasy world, so to speak. That is what we call the dream-like state. Whereas in our daily life, as Sarah has alluded to, that there is the thinking about the conceptual world, which is akin to the dream-like state. We come up with these different ideas based upon the sensory experiences. The sensory experiences like seeing and hearing, smelling, tasting, and so on, touching, hardness that may appear now. It's raining quite heavily in here. You can probably hear that. I hope it's not drowning out what I'm trying to say. Those are real. They're not dreams. So the experiences, the seeing now, the visual object now, that can appear, they are real. They're not dreams, as opposed to when we are literally dreaming, which is, what I'm talking about there is the sleeping state. So I think they're important distinctions to make, and Sarah has alluded to those, and Jonathan, I think, very insightfully pointed those out last week, that we can think of like it's just all a dream. No, it's not all a dream now. There are the sense store experiences which are real. The thinking, which as Sarah alluded to, is real. That's not a dream. The concept, the objects of thinking, they are the dreams.
Yeah.
They are the fantasies, if you like. So I think that's a really useful distinction to make. Otherwise, and that's a good footing for the Dhamma to develop, to enable it. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Sundar. I'm going to write that distinction down now. That's very helpful.
Well, it's actually, I thought it was very insightfully pointed out by Jonathan last week, and I re-listened to that talk, and I didn't. And so I always find that sometimes if something's not quite clear to me, if someone makes a point, I might not always comment, but I find it really useful to go over what that point that in this case Jonathan was trying to make, and I think it's a very insightful one. Anyway,
No, it
Yeah,
is.
good,
Thank you for bringing that up again, because
and good to
I
see
had
you, and good.
forgotten.
good.
Yeah, thank you.
It's easy to do.
Yeah.
It's just a habit we have.
Yeah,
It's easy to forget. That's just normal behavior, I
Yeah.
think, patterns usually,
yeah,
because kusala isn't something that comes naturally. And of course, everything is based upon, if we bear in mind, and Ajahn is often reminding us this, and Sarah too, that everything is anatta or anatta, which means literally not self. And we often so easily can have this idea that there's somebody in the driver's seat, directing this whole show. It's not the case at all. And by continually considering the nature of realities which appear, we can begin to appreciate this, but it does take time to consider carefully what we hear and see how little often understanding there is at times. But it's a great deal of patience, and of course, that's part of one of these parami. I was just when Anne asked that question a moment ago, I was just going to my dictionary again, because I often find the Pali quite helpful. Parami means completeness. Literally means quite a connected English word, perimeter. Like we have this concept of something all around. It's complete. And Anne was making a comment a moment ago that it's based on wisdom, and that it all has a focal point, if you like, around wisdom, panya. And we can begin to see. I was looking at these the parami, or sometimes called the paramita, concepts like giving and sharing, sila, dana or sila, dana, which is giving or sharing, sila, which is our behavior really here, a skillful behavior, nikkhamma, which is the ability to renounce, which will depend upon conditions and will be enhanced by panya, which is nikkhamma, which means not being sensually involved, if you like, at a particular moment, and the ability to give up rather than to indulge, if you like. But that's going to be depend. I won't go through them all, but so much depends upon upon wisdom. They'll always come back to that focal point, which relates to the development of understanding at this present point in time. There is no other moment that panya can be developed. The more that's appreciated, it's not, and as Sarah alluded to also, it's not situational. It's not like you have to go put your body in a certain posture or go to a certain place. Increasingly that seems to me rather strange. It's about the present moment and understanding that, and that is not based upon, again, what you do with your body or going to a certain place. There are realities appearing wherever we are, and I think the more that is part of what we call pariyapti, or beginning to appreciate that the Dhamma has a foundational aspect to it. And if that foundational aspect isn't appreciated and considered carefully, there can't be the incremental development of understanding. Okay.
Fascinating. Thank you, Sundara. Lots to absorb.
Jan, would you like to add anything further on this topic?
Understanding what is there now is that the topic.
The topic's always understanding what is there now. And one other point, just Sundara mentioned nekama as another perfection. Nekama is actually the renouncing of akusala now. So at a moment of understanding, there is renouncing, because at that moment there's no attachment, no ignorance, no aversion for the moment. So when there is understanding, there is renouncing. That's why nekama can only develop with understanding and other wholesome qualities, because only at those moments is there renouncing, nothing to do with what people are used to thinking of, like giving away their possessions and so on. But the giving away of the idea of self, even now at a moment of understanding, is true nekama as a perfection. I think without the understanding of what is the truth now, there cannot be the understanding of what any of the perfections are or how they develop. Like Kanti, patience. We think of patients standing in a queue or patients waiting for this or that. But what about the patience with whatever reality appears now, whatever is conditioned now, no matter whether it's painful bodily feeling, annoyance, kindness, seeing, whatever is conditioned at this moment has arisen by its different conditions. So the patience is the patience with how life is, the truth at this very moment.
So patient to be calm as well at this moment. Any situation. That's why it's so very deep, understanding the truth, what is there as it is. We don't need to say that it is so patient, not to be a kusla, patient to be understanding person, understanding what is there as it is, all around the situation, the moment of seeing, hearing, and so on. So it goes on deeper and deeper, understanding of perfection, not just very, very few moments, but any moment can be understood. And it's there, known, but it's appearing, whether it's true or not, calm enough, patient enough, not to have irritation and so on. So it's there right now. Or
yes, it has to be now, because there's no other time, there's only now. So if there's no patience now with what is conditioned, if there's no patience to be calm now, no matter what has arisen, then what about next moment or next week or next year? So it always has to come back to this moment.
Excuse me, Sarah. Were you saying Arjun, sorry, were you saying calm or kind when you were talking about
Calm.
patience? Calm. Thank you.
C-A-L-M, calm. So
I thought, yes.
yes, when there's patience, there is calm at those moments. So often when there's disturbance, it shows no patience, no calm at those moments. So they develop together when the wholesome qualities arise at those moments, there is calmness. But as soon as one is irritated or disturbed, or there's attachment, clinging, it may seem pleasant, it may seem calm, but it's not calm at those moments. So the calm develops with these wholesome qualities.
Yes. Thank you.
We also discussed last week more about metta, loving kindness. I'm sure you're familiar with this word, Lucy. I think it was Azita who brought up the topic. And it's so easy to have the idea of kind thoughts to people who are our friends or behaving nicely around us, or our family members. But the quality of metta, the kindness, is the quality of being friendly to anyone, those who one may consider as enemies or friends, or anyone at all, helping as one can, being friendly no matter how anyone else behaves or treats one. And at moments of metta, there is calm. And when there is understanding that actually there are no people in truth, then one doesn't think of the good and the bad one. It's easier just to be friendly whenever there is the opportunity, no matter who the person is or how they have behaved. So metta is another parami, another perfection that develops with understanding as well.
Thank you, because that goes hand in hand with what we were just talking about, because it's, if one is surrounded by agitated individuals and one is trying to work on the parami of patience and calm, you know, by developing understanding, the parami of metta works hand in hand, because you need to have metta in order to be able to remain patient and calm in those situations.
Right. And we would say we're used to thinking of working on different qualities, but it's actually through the understanding of the value of those qualities and the nature of those qualities, and the understanding that the problem is actually not the other irritable people, but one's own irritation and clinging and expectation that's a problem. So it's actually through the understanding that the patience and friendliness develops, rather than the idea of I should do something, I should work on it, which again is still the idea that I can control or I should do something. So a subtle difference, I think.
Thank you.
And the first one doesn't bring expectations and disappointments, but the second one, when it's the idea of what I should do, how I should work on, or how I should act better, brings expectations and disappointments when it's not the way one thinks it should be. Azita, do you have any comments on any of these topics today?
Not really on what's been discussed, but I just want to go back to clear up one thing on the Gocharas, or the domain, the resort. So my question is, are the realities the domain of understanding?
Yes, because it has to be the realities that are the domain of understanding. For example, hardness now is touched. So hardness is the reality, as the Buddha taught us, that can be the object of understanding, because it's the reality, not the dream. At the moment of touching now, there is hardness, and it is the resort or the gochara, the object to be commonly understood, so that the understanding of it can begin to accumulate, because one becomes more and more familiar that that is the object to be understood. Kindness, metta, it's real when it arises. Now, at a moment of friendliness or kindness, there can be understanding of that quality, different from the clinging, which is usually taken for being kindness. So by considering and discussing more about it, there can be a little more familiarity with the quality of kindness. And this is how the understanding of that quality develops. It is the domain or the object, the gochara of the understanding, when it becomes the object, which is the habitual object of understanding. And that's the point of discussions, to become more and more familiar with what can be understood, what can be known now, hearing now. So common, it arises again and again, but usually it's taken for my hearing, someone's hearing. When it's my hearing, it's not the domain, it's not the object of understanding. But when there's a little more familiarity, that now it's just hearing for a moment, that hears sound, not my hearing, not anyone's hearing, just the reality, the citta, which hears at this moment. This is how it becomes the object, the habitual object of understanding.
So
And
that,
Zita, oh, sorry, keep going.
just that habitual, what did you say, habitual
Object of
yeah,
understanding.
that's the Upanishad
Gochara,
Upanishad
yes.
Gochara.
Yes,
Okay,
the
it's taken a
object,
little, yeah.
the understanding accumulates. It becomes the object that is the support for understanding to accumulate by being its object.
Yeah, and a moment ago you mentioned metta, like, yeah, being a gochara. You know, if there's, so that opened it up.
If there
even
is
more.
understanding of it when it appears, it's
Yeah.
not just thinking about the story of metta and having universal metta, but at the moment when it appears, when that quality appears,
When it appears to understand.
When it's understood, that quality at the moment when it arises, when it's the object of understanding, then that is the way the understanding of it can accumulate, and it can become the Upanishad Gochara, the object of understanding again and again, or attachment. Even now during this discussion, there are countless moments of attachment to what is heard, attachment to the voice, attachment to the friends, attachment to anything. So that quality of clinging, it can be the Upanishad Gochara. Sorry, I just have to go. Someone's at my door.
Yes.
Zita, are you there?
Yes.
I was just thinking about gochara, and your question there is that it's what must be gone to, if you like, where we must go, chura, where we must go. The word gochara relates to pasturage, literally the pasturage of a cow, but obviously it's not meant in that sense there. We know it's got different meanings, as have been alluded to by the different posts, but it's what the object that needs to be gone to for understanding to grow. What the object which is the decisive support for understanding to grow, and we won't go into the other ones, because the more that object is gone to, or we go to, gochara, then understanding will grow if there is the right supports to enable that to happen. So, as I said, the word gochara, and of course it will, as we've seen through those different posts that have been posted on DSG, there are different aspects of that, but ultimately it relates to the object that has gone to develop understanding.
So I was muted. Thank you, Sundra.
Tana Janka, the question again that I'd like you to elaborate on, if I'd appreciate if you would, between the connection between wiriya, energy, kanti, and panya. How are those connected? On what do they depend for their continual growth in wisdom?
Is there now viriya as well arising? With what kind of citta? See, it's there in general, moving one's hand, viriya is there. But when we kanti, it's more than just viriya. With right, see how difficult it is. So there must be more viriya, more kanti as well. It's viriya cetasika, but it depends on different meaning or aspects.
So you mentioned there, Tana Jankup, that when we move our hand, there will be wiriya, but that's not necessarily related, obviously, to panya.
General viriya arises with how many cittas? See?
Well, virtually all chittas, there's wiriya.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Virtually all chittas.
Is it kanti at moment?
No, not necessarily. Although it could happen, I imagine.
It doesn't mean that at this moment there's no viriya, but there is viriya to understand. And when it's so difficult, it needs more viriya to be kanti at any time, even in a very dangerous situation. It can be there, kanti, to understand. So we talk about different levels of cetasikas. For example, at moment of hearing something or being in the irritated situation, some people think that it's the kanti not to have kusla or irritation, and just more than that, not just not having irritation, but what about at that very moment the viriya or the kanti to understand the truth, not just not having irritation. See, different.
Yeah, the difficulty that I sometimes have, Tanajan, is that the situation can feel rather overwhelming, and because of lack of panya, there is more akusala.
So one just think about not having irritation. See,
Yes.
But not only that, but that is moment of developing understanding of the truth, not just having no irritation. It's time, it's there to be known when there is enough. Without conditions, one just try not to have irritation, but understanding that it's not self can be conditioned to understand. And that moment it is sati and panya enough from perfection at its level, stage by stage. So not just having no irritation, but the understanding of that reality which is there. Khanti.
Yes, so you're saying, Tanajan, that the irritation doesn't have to be an obstacle to develop understanding.
By way of that which has developed enough to understand it.
Cup. So it's going to depend on conditions, Tanajan.
Any situation, see, it depends
Yes.
on conditions.
Yeah, Jing Cup.
All Adhamas, no one see anatta. Understanding more of the truth, it let go little by little. The idea of self is not just time to try so hard with Khanti and Viriya to not be a self at all. But at very moment, all Dhammas perform their function little by little, moment to moment, unknowingly.
So we can see how sophisticated and clever in a way Panya needs to be. Perhaps that's not put so well. I'll put it this way, that there needs to be a very careful consideration of Dhamma to enable understanding to grow. Otherwise, we will be seduced by wrong understanding, which it seems to me is easy to happen.
More and more. And Khanti is there, isn't it?
Well, ideally, Tanajan, ideally, but not always.
Understanding understands what is there. Is there.
Yes, true, Ajahn. So there needs to be more confidence in that truth. Otherwise, there will just be more akusala and less understanding.
That's why when there is the understanding, there can be the understanding, the meaning of the words in the Pitaka. Thought or place to go and so on. But if there's no understanding at all, we think about whether that place is suitable to go or not. Kojra or akojra, that's all. But the truth is that what is meant by kojra, not just go someplace, resort or what, but the moment citta arises, it's conditioned to experience the habitual object, kusala or akusala. And that is the meaning of Upanishad, Pajjaya. But when we talk about kojra, the words of the Buddha about the development of understanding to realize the truth. It that arises to experience for sure at any time. But what about the object, which is habitual object?
Perhaps there is, I'm thinking, Tanajan, of in the Metta Sutta, when the Buddha spoke to the bhikkhu about developing metta and understanding, he exhorted them, or he encouraged them to go back to the place where they were having trouble. Now, on the surface of it, that seems like a strange thing to do, that while they were being harassed and harassed by these unseen beings who didn't like them there, the Buddha encouraged them to go back there because he saw that as an ideal place for them to develop deeper. So, yeah, so
where we are now is possible place, no matter my house or your house or wherever one is.
So I don't quite understand then what, perhaps I'm misunderstanding you, Tanajan. When those bhikkhu were having difficulties, it seems strange that the Buddha would tell them to go back there where that didn't seem suitable.
because of how much understanding is there for each one.
Mm-hmm.
Others
So please continue, Tanajan.
have come to discuss about the truth right now. We can go anywhere. No words about the teachings. See?
Mm-hmm. Ka.
All kinds or levels of the understanding accumulated, different for each one. There can be the understanding where we are now. But if we go to some places, entertainment, movies, theater, and so on, what about the situation? And what about the accumulation of akusala? Enjoy the sensuous object so much. All depends on conditions. But anatta, no one can tell anyone to do anything, but to understand what is good, what is better, and what's the best. What about living in the forest, no understanding?
Not helpful, Tanajan.
So that's not the teachings of the Buddha, but since he understands the accumulation of whoever, so for everyone that has so great amount of ignorance, what is the better place for them to go? To hear the truth or to enjoy the place?
Yeah, it must be to hear the Dhamma, Tanajan.
According to the truth of the accumulation of unwholesome, more than wholesome for everyone who haven't heard the teachings at all. So no matter what is there in the words of the teachings in the book, or depends on understanding of the truth from the very beginning to the end.
And that is not always easy, Tanajan, because of the accumulated ignorance that we have.
Mm-hmm. So no rule, but what is suitable and what is not.
Mm-hmm. So that reminds me, Azita, of something Jonathan was speaking about the other day, was Sapaya Sampajanya, which is the same as the Thai word, Sabai, so knowing what is useful for the development of understanding.
And in the deepest sense, what is suitable, what is sabaya, is the reality now appearing to be understood, no matter in the forest or by the ocean, here or there. So I think the more more understanding, the more confidence that right now what appears is what is suitable to be understood. And then there is less and less thought of trying not to have the idea of self, or trying not to have irritation, or trying to work on having more metta, because there's confidence that here and now what appears is what is suitable to be understood. Otherwise, we just think in terms of situations, the suitable food, the suitable dwelling place, the suitable people to be surrounded by. But as Ajahn was stressing, whatever we read from beginning to end is about the understanding of the truth, the understanding of what can be known at this moment. No matter we're reading about patience or effort or any reality, it's always about understanding now. This is what is most suitable.
So we could say, without understanding, there is no suitable place. Right.
It's true. It may be suitable for eating less, or it may be suitable for having more opportunities for generosity. But for understanding of the truth, it has to be here and now, what appears at this very moment. And without understanding, we will always think in terms of the different situations and what I should do, what I should develop, what I should have less of, what I should have more of. And that's why
go on.
And that's why the perfections cannot develop without understanding of the truth at this moment.
And I think there was another comment you made just a while ago, on if there's not the understanding of this very moment, when is it going to be? So that little comments occurred over the last many months, that if it's not now, when is it going to arise? When is understanding going to develop? If it's not right now, right here, right now, that's a really good one to keep in mind, or just to remember. Yeah. So,
and it's just the putting off until I'm in a better place, or putting off until I'm in the Dharma discussion, or putting off until I'm in Bangkok, or putting off until I speak to Ajahn. But it's always here and now, even in the cinema, or you're surrounded by these irritating people. It's always the seeing, the hearing is always the here and now.
Right.
Yeah. There's only this moment in life. Yes.
There was this morning, like at 8 o'clock, there was all these big trucks, because there's a bit of building going on, and suddenly there was the big cement truck and the dump truck and the utes belonging to the workers, and they all turned up kind of around about the same time. There was a lot of noise, and I was about to start my yoga, and I just went, oh, and I thought, hey, here's a good opportunity to this is just sound. And it was actually really, I smiled and thought, hey, it's a good opportunity for understanding to develop if there are right conditions. So, yes, so thank you again for that reminder. Wonderful.
And I think it makes life so much simpler and easier, because there isn't the putting off and thinking if only this and if only somewhere else, or if only there were less garbage trucks, and because it is just here and now. Yes, any time, any place is a time for understanding. Thanks,
Azim. And then I think I went on to think about, oh, it's great, all these guys have got jobs, they're earning money. So it just went on to another different story, but it was a bit more lighthearted than being irritable. Thank you.
Yes, and sometimes one can smile at it. You're so quickly irritable over just sound, so one can smile and it's all gone anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever arises has gone instantly.
Mm.
I'm up and down because I've got workmen here, so I need to just take a little break to attend to them.
Must be a work day, because there's a mob of them over there doing stuff. Hello, Bill. You got any questions?
Sorry, I'm just unmuted myself. Oh, we were late because we forgot the clocks went back. So we were in the usual time. Sorry.
Oh, right. So you have daylight saving as well.
Yes. Yeah. So you start at 7:30 instead of 8:30 instead our time. So
Okay.
we were completely confused.
Okay. I'm lucky. I'm up in the northern part of Australia. We don't have daylight. They don't do silly things like change clocks around. We just rock on.
They've been debating this for years. I mean, I don't know why we do it anymore, quite honestly.
Mm.
The Canadians are waiting to find out what the Americans are going to do, so we'll all be in sync. Our clocks changed too today.
And it's all a big concept anyway, isn't it, really?
Time is a concept.
Time is a concept, yeah. Yes. It's always now. It's always just now, in reality.
Hmm.
Well, Ajahn, I have a question. And it involves, well, the question is, what is thinking?
And at 3, think.
I think the tree cannot think.
So thinking at that moment is the moment of experience, idea, right?
Yes, and I think this is what sometimes confuses me, because there seems to be a lot of thinking going on. And I sometimes think, what is this thinking? So the thinking, the crazy thoughts, or the sensible, whatever the thinking is.
And a lot of seeing, a lot of hearing too, right?
Yes. When I think of what is taught in Intl.Dhamma, the sense door process followed by mind door, and maybe there's a few mind door processes, then more sense door processes. But it's yeah, I guess what it is, there's just not enough understanding of those moments, because it's all mixed up, really. It seems all mixed up.
It means that there is no clear understanding of what is meant by the reality which experience the object, right?
Right, Ajahn, yes.
It's just the same moment of seeing, hearing, thinking, experiencing something. For example, seeing experiences what is seen, right?
Right, Ajahn.
Can experience just the sound. And thinking is there, experiencing what has been experienced. The same reality which experiences an object from birth. That's why it's very difficult to really understand the difference between the seeing and that which is seen. When there is the understanding of seeing that it's not that which is seen, there can be the understanding of that which does not see but think. Exactly the same reality. Its function is just arises an experience. No shape, no form. It's moment of experiencing what is there. Whether there is understanding or no understanding. But at that moment, the experiencing is there. The object is not known sometimes. So that which experiences that unknown object is not known either. So now the object of seeing is known, but the reality which sees or experience the object is not known. Right?
Right. Okay. Yes.
He heard about that quality, the reality which arises just to experience the object clearly right now, but no thought about the quality, the reality which arises and experience. Without it, nothing can appear, but no thought about that which experience, that which appear. It's there all the time from birth. That's why thinking, considering of that which now sees little by little, and it's not clear until the understanding develops on very subtly to understand what is there as not that which appears, but it sees, it experiences it. Otherwise, that object cannot appear. The same as thinking. We can think about many, many things, the sound, the sight, the situation, and on and on. But without that which arises to experience that, what we call it doesn't matter, but it's known at that moment. I go, see, I go. The understanding, the idea of I go is there experienced by that which arises, and I is the object, and go is the object, but the one which arises and experience I is there. See? That's why even the word is very simple. That which experiences the object. But in truth, the truth of it that arises and experiences whatever is now appearing is not known yet, not attended yet either. No thought about it at all in a day, from birth to death, when there's no hearing, considering, understanding the truth. That without it, no world at all. Nothing can appear at all. And it's there now. Every moment it's there, unattended. So now it's time to consider it, to begin to be acquainted with that reality which has no shape and form. Nothing at all. Just experience the object. So the characteristic, the quality of it is arises to experience by conditions, no selection, to experience what and where and when, by conditions only, right now. So, can there be the understanding of it? Because it's there now, see, or experiences that which appears now. A little more thinking, considering, can condition the moment of getting closer and closer to that reality, which is so close, the innermost of whatever in life, anytime. And this is the beginning to consider it, to think about it, to begin to understanding it. Even that which is seen is not considered as it is, that it cannot be anything at all. But it appears. But that which experience does not appear yet. So it's only now thinking about it, consider about the truth that has to be there. But the characteristic, the quality which experience the object does not appear yet. Until it appears, nama, rupa, paricetayana. But there must be the understanding as kojra, Upanisya Kojara, not forget it. We have heard about it, and it's there all the time. It can be known, but not by anyone. But consider it's a reality. Right consideration is no one, but it's there. Begin to consider the truth of that which now sees, little by little. Is it true?
Oh, it's just wonderful to hear this reminder again and again, Achan. While you were speaking, I was watching. I happened to see the man walk past outside, and I thought it's Chitta that sees. You know, it's just thinking. I know, but it's Chitta that sees somebody. And so, you know, reminders like this again and again are just so beneficial.
Until it is Upanisya Kojara, see?
And that means that the understanding, it starts to understand that it is just that experience. It isn't me, it isn't anyone. It's just understanding understands Chitta.
So what appears is just like the shadow of all kinds of reality.
Yes.
But the reality itself can be known, even so, by way of nimitta, not just only single one at all. For example, right now, as soon as one opens one's eyes, so many things around. How come? Each has to impinge on the eye base for seeing to arise and see just a dot. So many dots, uncountable dots.
And I think that shows just how quickly the realities arise and fall, because the eyes are open and you think you see a whole lot of things. But no, as you say, it's just a dot.
That's why without the teachings of the truth by the enlightened one, how can there be the understanding of what is there as not self? The seeing arises to see the reality which arises to experience, no matter through what doorway. But it does not like, it does not hate, it just experiences the object clearly what is there, which understanding the difference at moment of nimitta.
Yes, that's right.
And the more understanding, it araka, the akusala, not to come near or to arise at all. It cannot go closer to the object to understand it right now. At moment of understanding, it araka, akusala, keep it away from akusala. Is it now upanibandha? Begin.
No, Upanibandha, Gochara, no, not yet.
But it begins, right?
Yes, it must begin. It has to begin right here and right now.
All along the way to realize the truth.
Yes, yes, Achan.
So now, the reality which experiences whatever appears now does not appear yet, right?
Right.
Any moment of thinking about it, only at moment of hearing and considering.
Yes, yes, Achan. If we didn't hear the Buddha's words, we would have no idea about any of this.
And it's moment of developing perfection to realize the truth.
Yes, and I think I see that the perfections. Well, I was thinking of metta, and I think as this listening and the understanding is slowly developing, that those perfections sort of automatically arise, even on a very small level. But because there's not the, for example, the irritation with the workers this morning, it was, I sort of went on to think, oh, well, it's good that they have jobs and that they're earning money and stuff like that. And yes, Achan, what?
Yes, please go on.
Well, that was my story. If you know, if listening to the Buddha's teachings and understanding little more each time, it helps to develop the paramis.
Or the parami is developing at moment of understanding and kusala based on understanding as foundation.
Right. Oh, it's so quickly to throw me in there. I'm developing, I'm understanding. The attachment to self is so strong.
Not just now, eons and eons, uncountable eons ago, up to now.
Right. And I imagine eons and eons into the future.
And
maybe.
this is Kanti Parami, right? Piriya Parami, Satya Parami, Nekama Parami, Adidana Parami. Develop on and on with more and more understanding, little by little.
Yes, yes, I've known.
So no matter what we are talking about is there. For example, the reality which experiences the object, see, the chief of experiencing, it's there now, hidden. And right understanding begins to attain in order to open it up to understand this moment that it's there, see, it's there, hears. When there is no experiencing through the 6 doorways, it's there, see, depending on whether there's enough understanding to understand that moment, which is not seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, that it's there, experiencing the unknown object. And the object does not appear because it's there appearing. But without understanding, no thought about it, or there can be doubt about it, because it's not attended at all before, and begin to understand that it's there, even right now, anytime, moment of attachment, moment of seeing, moment of irritation, never absent, it's there. And more than that, it arises by conditions to be different moments, experiencing different objects. It's not permanent either.
And because there's not the knowing or the understanding that it arises and falls, we have this idea that it's a continual experience. Everything's to just continue on, but yes, I can see why it takes such a long time.
That's why without the Upanishad culture of it, it cannot be known.
Yeah.
And there can never be the satipatthana of it as the object because it's not known. to be object yet.
Right.
So the more understanding, the more letting go, attachment, and wishes, expectation. It is beyond expectation, beyond imagination, because the truth is so very subtle, very deep, because it's there as it is right now, unknown yet. So no doubt about the Upanishad culture now.
No. Well, no, I don't have any doubt. I feel that it's really, really real. There is no doubt arising at this moment, but that's not to say that there may be doubt sometime. But right now, no doubt.
When we talk about other things, is it Upanishad culture? Not concerning the understanding of the truth. It's not Upanishad culture.
No, certainly not. For example, this morning I had radio on and it was on Parliament discussion. And I kind of felt, I started to listen and I thought, why am I listening to this? This doesn't relate to reality at all. So I turned the radio off.
It's the beginning. The Upanishad culture.
Right. Hopefully, yeah.
But even if you're listening to that talk, there's still sound, there's still visible object, there can still be understanding, even at those
Thank you,
moments.
Sarah. Thank you.
Otherwise, it's the idea of changing the situation to have more
And that's
understanding
exactly
again, instead of
Yeah.
understanding just what appears at that moment. Yes.
Thank you. A wonderful
Thinking of living in the dream again. Yes. Perhaps
Yeah.
we can continue this discussion next time.
Okay.
And if there are any more doubts, we can bring them up next time.
There will be.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Exactly.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you,
Ajahn.
Ajahn. อนุโมทนาค่ะ
ข้าพเจ้า